Hey team, last week was ridiculous. I have no other words for it. I am so glad that you are safe and that we are all kind of putting our lives back together and that we have power and some of our toilets flush now. And I know that things might still feel a little unsteady. So we are starting a new series this week. But if you come in and things aren't as smooth as they normally are, or you're not as well prepared as you normally are, that's okay. It happens, and we're all going through this together. Our goal is to provide a safe, fun place that's focused on Jesus for kids. So if you don't get through everything, that's okay. As long as it's safe, it's fun, and it's focused on Jesus, you have done a great job. Your kids are probably feeling the same way. They're just going to express it very differently. So that their world is unsteady might come across as them behaving the opposite of how they normally behave. They might talk more if they're normally quiet, or they might be extra quiet if they're normally loud, or because they've been cooped up in their homes, they might all be extra wiggly and a little extra crazy. Whatever it is, try to give them a little extra grace and give yourselves a little extra grace too. We'll put things back together piece by piece, and as we go, eventually it will be okay. But we are starting a new series, and I'm super excited about it because it's about Jesus. It's the book of Luke, and it's all about how Jesus is the best news the world has ever received. You'll have a couple of posters like this on your door for kids and parents to see as they come in. And your leader table, will be set up to look like the Jump News desk that's on the front of your curriculum. So that way, when they come in, there's already a theme and things are super happy and exciting, and they get into that mindset that they're news reporters and it's all about Jesus, and that's so exciting. On your whiteboard, you'll have three things. You'll have the memory verse, which is kind of long for this series, but the curriculum does a really good job of taking bite-sized pieces of it every week. So just follow along with those curriculum activities, and when kids get it, they'll get it, and that's great. The next thing you have is a TV, and it's been laminated so that every week you can draw your main point on it. Or if you normally draw your main point on the whiteboard, you can use this for something else, like writing down who your reporters are for that day, or whatever you want. But because it's laminated, it's erasable for you to use every week. You can also have the early kid write on it and write the main point, or draw some picture that relates to the lesson for that week. It's yours to use how you want. And then the last thing you have on your whiteboard is called Good News Interviews. This breaks down the gospel into an acronym for kids to follow. So if I were leading this in a classroom, this is how I would do it. But your classroom is yours, and you know your kids, so you know if they need to do this a different way. I would have everybody sit down together at the whiteboard, and then I would say, the gospel is the good news about Jesus. We can use the word gospel to help us remember what it means to belong to Jesus. So everybody give me a G, and I would hope that they would all say G, and I would say G stands for God created us to be with him. And then I would say, let's say that together. God created us to be with him. That's right. Now everybody grab your microphones. For this series, every single kid gets a microphone. There are labels in your series supply box that stays in your room, so you can label each kid's microphone, and then at the end of each lesson, just have them line them up on the ledge of your whiteboard so they're available for next week. But have everybody grab their microphone, and then have them all say it together in their best reporter voices, whatever a reporter voice sounds like. And then break up into either partners for older kids or small groups with a leader for younger kids. On your poster, you have 2 questions for each phrase. So the 2 questions for God created us to be with him are, what are some of your favorite things that God created? And God created us to be his friend. How do good friends act? These are meant to be conversation starters so that they can sit there and interview each other and ask each other about these questions and listen and say things like, yes, that's very interesting. I have also heard that God created flowers. Whatever it is, we're supposed to get a little silly and pretend to be reporters and get comfortable talking about the gospel. So every week we will just cover one phrase. The first week is the letter G. This is a great activity to do right after your lesson because you can tell kids at at the end of our lesson, we will be getting out our microphones. So I need everybody to focus and pay really close attention during our lesson so that we are ready when it's time for our microphones. And that way they have something to look forward to, and if they get distracted during the lesson, you can help them refocus by reminding them that microphones are after the lesson, so right now we need to focus. Another activity on here that I love is called It's All About Jesus. This is where you as the leader come up with a list of 3 to 5 things with the class that they love to talk about with their friends. It could be horses or video games or food. And then they partner up and you tell them to talk about one of those things on the board and Jesus. So how would you talk about video games and Jesus or food and Jesus? Whatever it is, and they get to sit there with their microphones and act very professional and like reporters, or get as silly as they want and try to talk about, yes, I believe if Jesus had video games, his favorite game would be Mario Kart because it's about racing and the Bible talks about running the race. I don't know. Whatever it is, let them talk so that talking about Jesus becomes normal in their conversations. You have enough microphones for every kid, and you have extras for the new kids that come throughout the series. Then the last thing you have are press passes for the kids that you pick to ask the questions that are written in your curriculum. You can either select just one for the whole lesson that day, or we have it divided out to where it's question 1, question 2, memory verse, question 3, so that way you can pick one kid for each question. And all of your questions for each week have already been printed and put together on this keychain in your supplies box. So you can just pull it out, and then whichever reporter's turn it is, you hand it to them and have them read it. And then when they're done for that lesson, you can either keep it all together, or if it's me, I would probably rip it off so I'm not trying to figure out what lesson I'm on the next week. I know it's just always the front page. I am so excited to do this series with you. I love you, and I'm praying for you as we all kind of put things back to how they were before. I'll see you Sunday.